Scott with sjwellfire.com. Final Days Report, episode 307. Today's VCAST, we're going to cover end-of-day signs like earthquakes, volcanoes, and signs above. It reminds me of Luke 21. That's going to be our passage of reference for this VCAST. And there shall be signs in the sun and in the moon and in the stars and upon the earth, distress of nations with perplexity, the sea and the waves roaring, men's hearts failing them for fear and for looking after those things which are coming on the earth, for the powers of heaven shall be shaken. This reminds me as well of Miami and people at the mall seeing Nephilim, and the police response was crazy. I'm going to give my take on a future VCAST, but signs above and on the earth, my friends, the earth is shaking. A great website to go to is volcanodiscovery.com for earthquakes and volcano activity. And just today, January 5th, 2024, they're showing that there were 1,015 earthquakes with magnitudes up to 5.2. And what's alarming doing my research for this podcast, according to the USGS, the global rate of great earthquakes, magnitude 8.0 or higher, increased by 265% in the last decade compared to the previous century. And I remember hearing the scientist, when I first woke up years ago, talk about how they changed the measurement of earthquakes. They made a major earthquake less of a number, if you will, because he was saying earthquakes were getting more and more and more intense. I couldn't find that information or research. I'm not sure if it was whitewashed or if it's true. The guy seemed to have credibility. I remember he was talking all these facts about how they would measure earthquakes. But this hit today as well. Southern California jolted by magnitude 4.2 earthquake. And this VCAST reminds me of cities sinking around the world. We did two VCAST, Final Days Report 243 and 191. New York City is sinking and cities around the world are sinking. And I'm talking about an inch a year, which is a lot. And mostly this is in Asia. But when you think about this, and take a look at where these earthquakes have happened. This is a graphic I found from visualcapitalist.com of earthquakes around the world from 1956 to 2022, and they have a magnitude of 4.5 and above. And look at the activity in Asia. I mean, it is intense. You know, and obviously mostly the West Coast. The East Coast is pretty naked, if you will. A little bit in the Midwest here, but not bad, my friends. So it makes sense. Cities are sinking. They're sinking right around where the volcanism and earthquakes are happening. Now, let's get into just a montage of videos of what happened in Japan. I just want you to see the power of these earthquakes. It's almost like God is on the verge of judging. Intense. Run. Look up. You notice how the telephone poles were coming down as well? I mean, pretty wild. Now, this one blew me away, obviously, in a train station. Just power, right? And it reminds me of Isaiah 24, 19 through 20. The earth is utterly broken down. The earth is clean, dissolved. The earth is moved exceedingly. The earth shall reel to and fro like a drunkard, and shall be removed like a cottage, and the transgression thereof shall be heavy upon it, and it shall fall and not rise again. Check out this power of this earthquake. Intense. All right, this one is pretty amazing. You're going to see the bricks basically moving up. And if you're watching on a podcast service, this is one you might need to go to SJ Wellfire and type in 307. A lot of visuals within this VCAST. It's like the mouth of the earth is moving. That reminded me of when in the Old Testament there was some rebellion and God just swallowed them up with the earth, the people that were rebelling against Moses. All right, this next one, watch these two little kids hugging there in a parking garage, and this is just terrifying. I was thinking if my child was there, I don't know if I'd be filming, I'd be holding my kid. Let's roll it. Intense. It was almost like the car was shaking back and then it went side by side as well. And I've never been in an earthquake, but I could not even imagine how terrifying that would be. So now let's get into some volcanoes. Will there be more activity the next couple of years? So according to the USGS, there are about 1,350 potentially active volcanoes worldwide, aside from the continuous belts of volcanoes on the ocean floor. There are 19,000 volcanoes within the ocean floor. And I couldn't find a couple of videos where there were sailors in the middle of the ocean and the ocean was just bubbling up. I mean, it was creepy, my friends. It reminds me of that verse we just read about the waves in Luke 21. About 500 of those 1,350 volcanoes have erupted in historical time. And I was going to play some videos, but this might be way too long of a podcast. Of thousands evacuated in Indonesia, that eruption. So the earth is moving, my friends. And again, on volcanodiscovery.com, there's a really cool snapshot where you can actually look at earthquakes near active volcanoes, and they'll show you a different map. And you can see the United States is quite active, my friends. It is quite active. So a pretty good resource to share. Now, I could not find the ones from the ocean, and I'm not sure if this is methane or what, but it's just mind-boggling. More than 19,000 undersea volcanoes have been discovered. And I remember hearing some climate scientists talk about how the poles, the so-called poles, and I say that loosely, are melting because of volcanism. Nothing to do with the global warming scam that is a Club of Rome scam that we've blown the trumpet for to enslave you. Check out some of those videos. But I just thought this was wild, and I'm not sure what this is, but again, it reminds me of the volcanism that I've seen in the ocean. Strange.
Mon Dieu, qu'est-ce que
c'est? Pretty intense, my friends. So I thought this was just interesting. I'm doing my research. You know, we're still trying to sell our house in Illinois. And once we sell it, I'm just praying, Lord, where do you want me to go? Or do you just want me to stay here? But obviously, I'd like to go to a very, very conservative state, even though I think they're hurting us like animals, and then they want to ignite the flame for a civil war or false flags. But Texas obviously is a hot place for people to move to. But I thought this was interesting. There are an estimated 200 volcanoes in Texas, expert says. Ancient Texas volcano responsible for the formation of several waterfalls near Austin. This is from KSAT.com, local news. Fascinating. So if all of a sudden volcanism takes off again because of judgment, and maybe even weather modification, who knows, combination of both, is that the best place to be? All right, next sign, massive floods. They happened all summer long, mind-bending. It just appeared there was either droughts or floods around the world. I think they're weather weapons, and we're gonna use some scripture to demonstrate that. But the video I want to show is from Argentina, and this just looks intense. And again, there were hundreds and hundreds of examples like this that we could have shown all summer long. Let's roll it. It reminds me of Revelation 12. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, that ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. And when the dragon, Lucifer, Satan, saw that he was cast onto the earth, he persecuted the woman which brought forth the man-child. Now, I think the woman here is Eve. It's a seed war. There are different debates. Some think this is Mary. And to the woman, to Eve, were given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness, into her place where she is nourished for time and times and half a time from the face of the serpent. And the serpent cast out of her mouth water as a flood after the woman, that he might cause her to be carried away with the flood. All those floods I just talked about, I think it's weather weapon going after all of humanity. This has happened in a lot of non-Christian areas. And the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened her mouth and swallowed up the flood, which the dragon cast out of his mouth. And what's interesting, later in this chapter, it talks about how the dragon's just going to go after Christians, those that keep the testimony of Jesus Christ. So is that what we're seeing now? And the reason why I say that is it goes back to The Economist, the occult magazine, owned supposedly by the Rothschilds. Check this out here. Climate change. Here's the devil with this machine. They're telling you they're manipulating the weather system. I mean, it's obvious if you're awake. I mean, it's crazy, my friends. So now let's get into signs above. And I'm just going to play a montage of videos again. This one is wild. Look how perfect this is. This sphere. Some think we're dealing with Project Bluebeam. What say you in the comments? All right, the next one, is this the DEW, direct energy weapon, or PSYOP? Let's roll it.
Street. What the is that, dude? What? That's it. Big explosion. Holy.
We know something happened in Maui that was nefarious. Metal does not burn that way. And what I found fascinating on NASA, they actually used to cover a 10-day fire map, and they've stopped doing it. But if they're actually using these DEW weapons, of course they're going to create fires. And we did a podcast in Canada, all the fires that happen at the exact same time. I mean, come on. They're burning us out, my friends. All right, this gentleman here has a TikTok account. I'm not sure his handle. I'll hopefully get it, but I pulled this video off Telegram and they clipped his credentials, so I apologize. But he did a really good job with a montage of just strange things that are happening in the sky. Don't look up, he says. Everybody's looking at their cell phones. Let's roll it. That's why they want to lock you in your house too, I think. Here we go.
What is going on in the sky? Every single day this week, there's been crazy things going on in the freaking sky, and no one's even talking about it. They want you looking at your cell phones so you can't see what's going on. Like that movie, Don't Look Up, that's literally what we're living in. And this is just the first of many I'm going to show you. And this was last night, I believe, yesterday. What is that? Notice how similar the color with this one is. This one was also filmed yesterday night. You can't tell me something's not going down. Like, something is going on. but they'll try to tell you it's normal. Yeah. In the UK, these things just start popping up in the sky. I'm sure someone's going to try to rationalize it, right? Seen by multiple people. Maybe things like this is why the Bible says look to the sky. And this just happened over Poland. That reminds me of something. Remember the cloud that was over Turkey and then disaster? Then the cloud that was over Brazil, then disaster? Wonder what it means. Remember, it's over Poland. And I just showed you all this one a few days ago. This happened right after Christmas. All of these are happening at the same freaking time.
Snake eating its tail.
At the same time. And that stuff going around it is fire. I showed you in the other video. It's literal fire going around. It's like a portal.
When you look up volcanoes in relevant scriptures, it just appears to be judgment. Just a couple of examples. Take a snapshot of this. Psalm 97:5. The hills melted like wax at the presence of the Lord, at the presence of the Lord of the whole earth. Psalm 104:32. He looketh on the earth, and it trembleth. He toucheth the hills, and they smoke. And then you dive deep into the book of Revelation as well. I mean, it's pretty intense, my friends. Let's summarize. Odd things happening above. Floods everywhere or droughts. This summer especially. Even now, Argentina, I think the UK was just hit with a storm and a flood. Volcanism and earthquakes. What a great time to be alive, my friends. Is this going to be the year, the next couple of years, of more shaking? Things that happen in Iceland, that was just super intense. I mean, those videos really shook me to a core. But we cannot fear, my friends. Time to save some souls.